Okay. How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Love your background. Is that your wall?
That's a uh no, it's a piece. It's a frame tapa. Somebody
Oh,
gifted it to us. Yeah.
wow. It is really nice.
Yeah. It's super. Yeah, I mean, because I have it in my house, I forget it's there. So I figured out it would be a good background. So I pushed the
Oh,
table out, I'm sitting this way.
it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, so officially, 50 years have gone by. I want to make sure I don't mess this up. You still going by Terry Malterre?
correct.
Okay. No name changes or witness protection or anything like that.
Well, it used to be Spencer when I was married. Then when I got divorced, I changed my name back to Malterre.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was talking to Larry Kiyohiro, and I didn't realize this, but for a number of years, I did driver's ed.
Hmm.
And he said he did driver's ed, and then he asked me, he thought you did driver's ed. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do it private or connected to a school?
DOE.
Oh, okay. At what
So,
school?
well, I started at Radford and then I ended up at Roosevelt, but I just took classes just to get credits, and that was one of the classes I took. And then when I got divorced, I needed another job, so then I started teaching driver's ed.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those who end up watching this, I'm with Terry Malter, class of 75. Terry, what grade did you start coming here?
I started in ninth grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so surprised. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or people magically appeared in ninth grade and I just never stopped to think about it. But quite a few of the people I've talked to all started ninth grade.
Yeah.
Where did you attend kindergarten to eighth?
So kindergarten, I was at Kaala Elementary in Wahiwa. And then first grade to eighth grade, I was at Arleta Sarles, which is a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm. In
And then
Waiwa.
in Wahiwa, yeah. And then I caught the so I when I once I got into Kamehameha, I caught the bus at First Hawaiian Bank at like I want to say 6:15 every morning.
That's a
Yeah.
haul.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
and that's not even, the same as the North Shore folks.
Yeah, and but I don't think there was a bus at that time at North Shore. I think ours was the furthest. Then we went to Oipahu, picked up I remember picking up Karen Doan over there, but Gilbert Drexel was on my bus.
Oh,
Yeah.
haven't heard from him in a while. I'd love to sit down and talk to him if anybody
Yeah.
can put me in touch. That'd be great.
Yeah. So,
Now,
mhm.
before you started in ninth grade, then did you attend school with any of our eventual classmates?
I'm sure I did, but I just can't remember who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I did, but I don't know. I can't remember. That's a hard question.
Well, it'll probably pop up later because some of the people that have talked about their elementary school years after the fact, somebody will jump in and go, "Hey, I went to school too. Where were
Yeah,
you? Who was your
yeah.
teacher?" Making that connection. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So we make our way through. You were there ninth grade, 4 years.
Hmm.
After we graduated, what next step did you take?
Well, I think before we even go there was a couple people that was very instrumental in my I guess my volleyball career. So one
Oh,
was
okay.
Alan Panui, which is Charlie Panui's mom. She was like our I think she helped with Lynette Lum with our volleyball. And she saw potential in me that I never see in myself. And so she got me onto like a club team with these adult women. And then I went to the Highly tournament and I was recruited by Chris McLaughlin to go to UH. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been playing at UH. So on a scholarship. So it was a partial scholarship. I think it was like gas and tuition and books. And then my 10th sophomore year through senior year, I got a full scholarship. So I mean, I think with that, without her, and I wouldn't probably have been at UH. I wouldn't have been exposed to, being on a team sport.
So she was on the staff that helped coach you at Kamehameha.
She was an assistant to Mr. and
Okay.
Mrs. Lum. And so she said, "Hey, do you want to play with this group of women?" And one was Fanny Hopial, who was an Olympian. And I was just so intimidated by her. But I mean, I got on the team and, we went to this tournament and Chris saw me. I guess he saw the potential in me. But Dave Shoji was the coach. And so Dave, it was his first year. It was my first year at UH.
Oh,
So
just
yeah, yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from there, I did leave my junior year to play on the USA Olympic team in 78, no, wait, 79, January 79. The Olympics was 1980, but they boycotted that year, the Olympics. And so actually I was gonna like quit anyway. I was just gonna go back to school and finish school because it was from like January to like summertime at Colorado Springs. So I trained with a bunch of high level, but it made me a better player,
That's what I've
So when I
heard. I
went to,
mean,
so I went to UH and then we won the national championship in 1979.
wow. I bet that
Yeah.
was mind blowing, right?
It was really because I think the years I played, we were like second or third, never won. And then this last year, we kind of got it together, and then we actually won the championship, which is kind of cool. And people, their parents all came. Like my parents followed me every time, everywhere I went, they came. They went to every single one of my games. They were my biggest supporters. So that
That's
was kind of
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I have I do. I have three sisters and two brothers, but nobody went to Kamehameha. They went to Lelehua and I think Starved the Sea. Oh, Damien and Starved the Sea.
He's right there. Look at a dog that's very timid, or not timid, but every little shadow or streak of light and he screams like you're gonna kill him. Outside of volleyball, as you graduated from Kamehameha, did you have something you wanted to do, or was volleyball a real focus for you? And
Volleyball was like never my priority. I just
oh,
kind of
okay,
stumbled into it. And then from there, going to school, I wanted to teach and I wanted to coach. So I think after I graduated from UH in PE and health, Mr. and Mrs. Lum offered me to coach intermediate. So I started coaching at Kamehameha intermediate and then JV. And then I ended up 1 year in varsity coaching. But at the same time, I was having kids, right? So it was kind of a conflict. And so my kids were doing milestones and I was at the gym. So then I felt, my priority should be my kids. So and that's what happened with that.
yeah. So your teaching degree, you put it to use where?
Okay, so my first year was at McKinley High School and I taught like team sports. And then the position wasn't open the following year. So then I applied at Roosevelt and then I was at Roosevelt for all my years. So Roosevelt, PE. And then once I got separated from or divorced from my husband at the time, I went back to get my master's in counseling at Chaminade because the
Oh,
kids were
okay,
old enough to stay home by themselves, right? So then I got my master's with the help of Pauahi. I got scholarship, and
awesome.
so I was able to get my degree, and I was a counselor at Roosevelt. And then meanwhile, my sons were getting older, and my oldest one went to Kamehameha. He's O1, Nainoa, Spencer, and then he was at UNLV. And then my second son, O5, Vika, he went to San Diego State. And then my youngest son, Kaipo, he was at Roosevelt and he's O6. And so I was able to get them through, you call it, well, the first 2 years I said I would help them. After that, they had to go on their own. But then I ended up as a student service coordinator, which is you work with special needs teachers and make sure they're in compliance with their special needs students.
Okay.
or if we suspect a disability, my job was to get testing to see if they qualified for this, criteria that was set for DOE.
And you did this at
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt,
Mhm.
but did it expand at all outside of Roosevelt, or you only took care of those teachers at
Just
Roosevelt?
Roosevelt students. Yeah. Every school
Okay.
had an SSC. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. And so I did the academic testing, and then we had other people do like the social and hearing or whatever else they needed. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna sidestep for a second because you brought up how you benefited from Pawahi in getting your master's. I just found out today from Siu Lin Dang, I think is the correct last name she uses for her personal life. Siu Lin Lee from high school,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Dang now. Anyway, she let me know that we were short of the scholarship that our class is sponsoring.
50,000, right?
Yeah, and we were short 7 or 8 grand or something like that.
Hmm.
Well, apparently somebody stepped up and gave the scholarship $5,000.
Wow.
So I don't know how the math worked out. We were like $500 and $505 short, and
Hmm.
then so Kathy Thurston kicked it in to finish it up and wrap it up. So we made it.
So we made our 50,000.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
exciting. That sounds
that's
neat.
pretty good for our class.
It's good, good,
That's
good.
that's good because it's like giving back. Yeah.
And I guess I never stopped in the earlier decades to think about it, but as I matured, I guess, it really made sense because I can go back and check boxes of all the ways I benefited directly from my time at Kamehameha.
Hmm. Hmm.
I never, I attempted to go on after high school, but I only went maybe 2.25 years, and then realized that classroom education wasn't the way I was going to learn stuff. So I need to touch it. I need to do it. I need to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
tell,
hands-on learner.
yeah, people
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
me, okay, go over there, get that, put it here, you
yeah.
know, cookie plate, push them, cookie plate, push them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, everybody learns differently, and that's
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's the beauty of being an educator. You have to recognize the different ways kids learn,
Yeah. So
you
how many
know.
years did you end up with in education?
37 years.
Are you still working?
I retired 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all the classmates in education I've talked to have kind of a little share, a little story, but after the fact, you're walking in the street or you're going through longs, you run into a student from the past who walks up and thanks you for something, like you would have thanked, the assistant coach at
Yeah.
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha. Uh-huh.
You've obviously had that happen to you.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I still support like Roosevelt like fundraisers and things like that. So I mean not only on the street because a lot of times I don't recognize the kids, because it was like a long time ago and they were younger, they mature, as you get older, you don't change a whole lot. And so they recognize you and they'll say something to you like, "Oh, you remember me?" And I'm like, I always say yes. And then I'll go, "Can you refresh my memory? Like, what year are you?" And then we'll like have some kind of a bond. I think I was closer to the kids when I taught PE because they were more apt to talk to me because I was not in administration. Once I became a counselor, it was a little bit more challenging to talk to kids because, there was like I was in a room, and it was not as comfortable. They didn't know me. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of kids to this day come up to me and they'll say stuff to me.
And
Oh, you're my favorite. I like you because of this or whatever. I'm like, okay, you say that to everybody, but that's okay. I'll take it.
but yeah, I mean it just from the little bit I did in driver's ed, that come back and thank you thing just kind of, oh, chicken skin, just
Yeah, and you don't know the impact you make on these kids until down the road. Like you'll say something to them, like somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I remember what you said at graduation." I'm like, I don't even remember what I said at graduation, but I'm glad that I was able to impact you in a positive way, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
It's weird because I know exactly what you're saying. Sometimes you're up there, you've prepared for this, you let it out, but I don't know, it's like you're not even really there while you're saying what you're saying, and then later on you're like, oh wow. You snap back out of it with your power and like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
did
yeah,
that
yeah.
happen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was, yeah, very rewarding um to be an educator, I feel. And you keep educating people as you don't have to be an educator in a system, you keep educating yourself lifelong, like lifelong learners. That's what we are, right?
Yeah. So
So
head count, you have three boys?
I have three sons. Yeah.
Okay, wow. That age
Yes.
wise, was it? Imagine it's a struggle, but sometimes
So
with boys with a higher energy, if they're too
yes.
close in age, it gets to be.
Yeah. So when I got divorced, they were in kindergarten, first grade, and fifth grade.
Okay.
So I mean, it was definitely a turning point in my life to raise three kids on my own. But I feel like I had the support of my family, especially my parents, and I leaned heavily on God. So I mean, it was like the only reason why I think I was able to move on and go back to school, start playing volleyball again, start paddling again, taking care of myself so I could take care of my kids, because if you don't take care of yourself, can't
Absolutely.
take care of nobody else.
Yeah.
So that was very pivotal in my life. So a lot of support throughout.
Some mentor in my past put it in terms of a vehicle, you don't change the oil, if you don't do
Yeah.
your maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
break down when you need it the most.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
What did your parents do for work? Any educators there or
No, my mom worked in a cafeteria in an elementary school, and my dad worked on the set at like Hawaii Five-O, Tora Tora Tora. He was a grip, so he was like, yeah, he was a laborer. Yeah, so they grew up
oh
in the plantation in Waipahu. Yeah, so they weren't very educated, but and I think out of the six of us, maybe three of us went to college, and I'm the youngest. So
of six?
yeah.
Oh, you have five siblings.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And it's not really nagged at me, but it's crossed my mind at different times in life, and I guess I was never right there to ask you, but your name sounds kind of French. Is it
It is
French or
French.
is it French?
So my mom is pure Japanese. So she's second generation. Her mom came from Japan. And then my dad, he was Portuguese, French, Hawaiian.
Wow,
Yeah.
there's a mixture for you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So a lot of times people don't realize I'm Japanese, and so until they see it, when they met my mom, they're like, "Oh my God, you're Japanese." I go, "Yeah, I am." Yeah, so it was an interesting way of growing up
Well, it's so difficult in Hawaii because it's
to
such a
figure out.
melting pot, but
Yeah,
you know, because I can look at you and I can tell there's Asian
Asian.
something, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
don't know if I would have pinned it down to Japanese in
Yeah.
three
Ah,
guesses.
yeah,
I
yeah,
might have
yeah.
hit it on my third guess, but
Yeah,
now I
that's
know through volleyball, obviously it sounds like you did some traveling, but have you traveled much in the last 50 years?
in when we played for UH, they took us to Japan to train with the Japanese. I don't know if they were there a national team. So in 1979, we all flew. Our volleyball team flew to Japan, and they trained. They trained hard. I mean, they just like. I mean, if you didn't protect your face, they would probably hit your face. Just to learn, defensive positioning and things like that. But other than that, I mean, we went to Texas and we went to Illinois, or we went to New Jersey, but we didn't go, domestic. I mean,
Mm.
international. Um, I think I've traveled more now that I'm retired than, because I had opportunities to travel. So
Uh-huh.
my third son went to UNLV, wanted to do a student exchange. He lived in Thailand for like 6 years. So I went to Thailand 2 times while he was there. And then this past January, he and his wife, who's from Thailand, had a wedding ceremony. So we were there in January, all of us, the boys, and then the year before, I went to Italy because I take Pilates. My Pilates teacher is from Italy, so she scheduled a tour for us, and so there was like about 8 of us that went to Italy, and that was really kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I
then for
want to.
paddling, we went to Rarotonga to paddle.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. So that was kind of cool.
How long were you there?
I think we were there for like maybe a week or so, but yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, yeah. So
Environmentally, is it a lot like Hawaii or different or
Rarotonga,
yeah.
and we went long time. Like I want to say we went in 2009 maybe, and they were like very recycle everything. They don't have any like paper good. They were like really like environmentally advanced compared to us.
Wow.
They were like, yeah, it was.
We could take a lesson or two there probably, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The water was super clean. It was super great experience. But yeah,
Huh. Who do you paddle for or did you paddle for?
I currently paddle. So when my kids all left, so 2007 when I was 50, because I paddled right out of college, then stopped because I had kids. And then when I turned 50, which is 18 years ago, I decided to paddle again. So I paddle for Huinalu. So I've been with Huinalu for the last 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we started in 40s, right? And now I'm 65. But it's a good exercise. It's good camaraderie. And there's Kamehameha people. So I paddle with, Pono Pavic, Pono
Yeah.
Tuine, 77. So she's in my crew. Celeste Spencer, she's 74. She's in our crew.
Okay.
And then Shelly Kahuanui Faye, which is my good, 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 good friend. She's in our crew too. So, I mean, there's always seems to be some type of Kamehameha connection someplace. And now that I go actually to Metro Christian Church, and I go to church with class of 1961. So Dr. Chun and then his classmates go. So yeah, I didn't know they were there, but when I started to go, it's just you have that bond with like, oh, what school you at? Oh, come sit with us. You went, come here, man, come sit with us. I'm like, okay. And then Brandon, who the pastor, he's a 90, I don't know what year, 90 something, come here, man. And then his dad is a 71. And then they
Wow.
sing Ho Nani at the end, which is like a sealer for me. I'm like, oh, I like this church. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
What area is that church in?
oh, White Camilo, right by
Oh,
the fire station. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an offshoot. He was Pastor Elvin who was at New Hope, and then he broke off about, I want to say like maybe 13 years ago, but I just started like maybe 3 years ago.
it's
But yeah,
awesome. But it's nice when you find a good
a
church
home.
home because you
Yeah,
feel really
yeah,
and for me
connected.
it's helped, you know, as far as my education of,
Hmm.
the word and stuff. It makes it easier to, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I study better when I'm comfortable.
Hmm. Hmm.
The
Yeah, yeah,
atmosphere is good.
yeah.
So recreationally, you haven't ever taken off and gone some places to Holo Holo and
Well, I visit my grandkids in Tennessee. So they live in Nashville. So I go there a couple times a year.
uh
And then I just came back from San Diego because my son lives in Oceanside. So I frequent, San Diego. But I did go with Shelly Kahunui and her husband. We went to Nashville, and then we went to New Orleans. So we visited there. That was kind of a trip, but it was a good visit.
Now,
But
were you in New Orleans around Mardi Gras time?
no, 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 no. We went in April. We just wanted to see like the French Quarters and just kind of get the culture of New Orleans, which is, I mean, it was a great experience, but I don't need to go back over there.
Yeah, no, my wife and I were living there and we got married there, but we were living
In
there for a year in New Orleans.
outside of the French Quarters.
Outside is we lived outside, but we went down for the experience, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is an experience I cannot even put into words. It's like you're in a insane asylum. Somebody unlocked all the doors, and there's no staff to help you out. It's
No, no,
crazy.
a lot of homeless, a lot of like things you don't want to see on the side
Yeah,
of the street. But the
but
food is fabulous, you know.
oh,
Every place we went, the food was just great. I mean, we did go outside of, we went to Baton Rouge and, we went outside a little bit, but that was probably the, only place I think I went leisurely. Yeah. But
you mentioned visiting your son in Thailand, and I've heard so many things secondhand about Thailand that I've put it on my bucket list. But is that kind of a cool place to go visit, Thailand?
I think if you like, I like the north, which is Chiang Mai. It's more of a traditional kind of older, greenery, kind of like not as busy as Bangkok. So I went a week over there with my sister and her boyfriend, and we went to different places. We took a cooking class, which is kind of cool. Bangkok is very busy, but everything is very cheap as far as food, accommodations, in comparison to America. And then but it's a third world country. So for me, I don't really like want to eat any street food because the water they wash their stuff with is not the cleanest. But the foot massages are to die for. We had one every other day. It was super cheap, like $10.
That's what
But
I've heard.
yeah,
Somebody
I
said they were
mean,
getting two a day because they were so darn cheap,
it was cheap, man. I mean, and they were, and I didn't want the full body because I didn't want them to hurt me, but the legs and the legs, the neck, the arm, we were just going all the time. It was really good. And then we even got to play pickleball because I played pickleball. And so we were walking around, and then my boys and I, and then Shelly and her husband, we found a court, and so they let us use. It was just super hot though, like very very hot, but it
like
was super
kind of
fun.
humid.
It was like humid and like 99 degrees or something like that
Whoa,
that
yeah.
particular day, and the air quality was very bad, but we didn't know that until after. But it was kind of cool. A lot of places you can walk, you can exercise. It was just it was nice because my son had lived there and his wife. So we were able to go on I think it's called the BTS, which is their transportation, and go to different places. We even went to a Michelin star restaurant. It was very reasonable too. It was very cool. But, opportunities are really, I mean, people retire there.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
expats or whatever you call them,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was kind of a thought that crossed our mind as we got confused by the current administration, but we thought, maybe we go holo holo for 4 years and then come back after power.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well,
But yeah, it is what it is.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So what do your sons do? Have they moved into any education field themselves
No,
or no?
no. My eldest son works for Enterprise. He lives in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So he has a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they both play sports. And then my middle one, Vika, he lives in Oceanside, California. He works at a restaurant, and he has an 8-year-old and a no, no, 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. But he coached, I think he helped coach like kids football or something. And then my youngest son, he works for a Department of Defense, and he lives over here in Hawaii. But nobody's in education. But I got them all to play pickleball in Bangkok. So that was kind of cool.
You know, baby steps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I played pickleball on Fridays with my son at Fort DeRussy. And then I have a couple other places that I play because I know Rhonda plays and she wants to play when she gets down here. But everybody has a different reason why they play, I think. Some people are very competitive and they play in tournaments and they go to lessons and they do, drills. And there's people like me who I enjoy playing. I mean, I hate to lose, but I'm okay with losing. I mean, I'm gonna learn, from people that I see that are better than me, and I'll ask them questions. And I took a
Yeah.
few lessons, but I don't think I want to compete. I think my competing days are like over. I think
And
I
so
just
if I
want
was
to
counting
enjoy.
correctly, then you have four more, Puna?
But yeah,
Okay. How many boys? How many girls?
2 boys, 2 girls.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So my eldest grandson, he'll be in ninth grade next year. So he
Time
plays.
flies too, and I can
Yeah,
tell you from
yeah.
experience, you need to stay with it because you're gonna wake up
Yeah.
in a year and they'll be in the 20s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he likes baseball and basketball. Yeah, he played a little bit of football, I think, but they decided to take the year off in football and just concentrate on basketball and baseball. Yeah. So,
Well, like we talked about earlier, the kids will find their slot where they're comfortable and what they enjoy because you
Yeah,
can probably harass them into becoming good at a sport, but if they don't enjoy it,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, God,
Absolutely. But being on a team, you learn so much, working with other people, different personalities, and so you can bring that to your lifetime and, adversity when you deal with things on a personal level, So I think being on a team sport versus an individual sport, I mean, both are good, but I think being in a team, it really makes you realize that, got to be cohesive or it's not going to work.
yeah, you can't be a one-man show on a football
No.
team or a
Yeah.
baseball team. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
because nobody's gonna catch what you throw, or
No.
nobody's gonna throw you to
Yeah.
catch it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It gets
Yeah.
pretty
True.
wild.
Very
So
true. But yeah.
when you were talking about being at Roosevelt, you mentioned PE and team sports. Did you ever do any um I don't know what you call more strict subject,
Oh, I
math,
had to teach math
history?
class one time because they
Oh,
were short. And it was like not a hard math. It was one of those repeat kind math. And so I had to teach a math class. And then I taught health too. But um it was very challenging teaching kids who, like had struggles with learning and they want to cheat. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it was, other than that, just yeah, I did that math class. Yeah.
and what did you say your master's was in?
Counseling,
Okay.
good counseling. Yeah. Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
was that a lot of work?
Well, there's a lot of theories, a lot of practicum things you have to do, but like I feel like sometimes when you go to school, you learn the book, but the book doesn't correlate to lifetime. So they teach you the book things and the theories, but if you don't have the ability to have a relationship with a kid, then those books are not important,
Yeah.
or if you don't have compassion for kids who are coming from a family that's, doing drugs or they don't have enough food and their behavior problem, you got to find out like what's wrong with them, like don't just get mad at them. You got to figure out, okay, talk to them, figure it out, and then how can you help them? Because if you don't like have a relationship with these kids, you're never gonna help them. And so I think good to get a degree, but if you don't have those communication skills, compassion for kids, then you shouldn't be in the education system, you know.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of love for it because
Yeah, because
you're
the pay,
obviously not.
the pay is not that good. But I tell you what, when I retired, the pay is actually not bad. And then I get medical too, right? So every time they take out of my Medicare, I get reimbursed because I was in a state at a certain time, and then I have a pension too. So, I mean, I never thought about retirement when I was young or putting money away or anything like that. But I feel very blessed that I'm able to live comfortably and still be able to travel and not have to work. I mean, I guess I could if I wanted to, but at this point, I'm not really interested in working. I just want to play all day. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, you done your share of work,
Yeah.
time to balance out.
Yeah.
So your canoe paddling, how often you guys do that? A couple times a week or
It's Monday through Thursday.
wow,
So
okay.
Monday, Wednesday at 5, Tuesday, Thursday, 3:30. And so, you got to do other things besides just paddling. So I try to get some walks in. I play a little bit of pickleball. I do Pilates 2 days a week. And then I also go down to the wall and catch some waves with my boogie board. So I have
There
a
you go.
group that I meet in the morning
Oh,
about
wow.
5:15. The sun is up early now, but today had jellyfish, so I don't go when there's jellyfish.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my cousin is a charter boat captain on Molokai,
Okay.
and he's always putting out things on his Facebook, you know, these glasses are good and this kind of, you know, jacket or whatever is good. And he's got some,
Mhm.
they're called mangrove leggings,
Oh, okay.
that he wears and to protect primarily
Picture up in the
against,
sun.
well, and a jellyfish.
Oh, the jellyfish.
Yeah.
Oh man, I prefer not. 3 days, I'm okay with not going into the water for 3 days. Because I saw them today because I walked past to go play pickleball and I walked past the beach where I go to and I saw them on the beach, the jellyfish. Had like, I think today, because there's the lady there's somebody that counts and they give us a count in the morning. I think there was like 30 of them today. But if there's one, I'm not gonna go. They're gonna look for me. Guarantee I'll get stung. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good. I mean, it's nice to, it's like you do have a schedule, but it's a schedule you want rather than you have to have,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to working.
Mm-hmm. And I think if I didn't have a schedule, it would be harder for me. I mean, I kind of have a schedule, but I can always tweak it, if I have to. Because I have an auntie, she's like 94 years old, my mom's sister. She's in a home. So I try to visit her like maybe every other week and we just play like board games and stuff. So I try to put her in my schedule too, so that, she has somebody else besides her daughter that she can kind of hang out with. But it gives you that opportunity to volunteer if you want to volunteer, if you want to do other things. Because I think being a product of Kamehameha School, I think being industrious is giving back to whoever it is that you are encountering with. And I feel like just because you didn't go to Kamehameha doesn't mean you cannot reap um her funds, because my youngest son didn't go to Kamehameha, but he got a scholarship, so there's other ways that I think she has provided for not just us, but for everybody else who had the opportunity to get some type of, you know, scholarship or outreach program or whatever programs they have for these kids that are not at Kamehameha.
Yeah.
So,
Because I've seen where they've started some of these like elementary level immersion programs all over the island, and they're not, Kamehameha schools. They're charter school or
mhm,
something,
mhm.
and but I mean the funding is coming in.
Yeah. They Kamehameha, they even help sponsor our Kaiwi Coast Run. Huinalu puts on a walk from Sandy Beach to Mauna Loa Bay every year in November, and they're one of our sponsors. So, they sponsor different organizations throughout, the state, which is kind of cool. I mean, we are fortunate that we went to Kamehameha, but yet I think it goes beyond just our school. It goes to other people, although they may not realize that, it's them. But I mean, I think it's more than just us. But
Is there anything that was offered to us while we were at Kamehameha that you wish you had taken advantage of and didn't?
mm, hmm, good question. I don't think there's anything that would, well, let me think. Offered to us that I didn't, nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think as best as I could, I took advantage of whatever was available. But hey, I took driver's ed. Did you take driver's ed from Kamehameha?
No,
Oh,
because my
Mrs.
dad
Williams.
taught driver's ed. So
Oh, yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool that they offered driver's ed. And Kalani Brown and George Crabb were my partners in the car. So, that was kind of cool. But as far as opportunity, I don't think so. I
mm,
mean, I wanted to go away to college. That was my something I wanted to do, but my parents said, no, 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 no. No. The furthest I could have gone was maybe Hilo. But other than that, they told me no. They didn't want to take the risk because nobody in our family like had gone. And they didn't want to take that risk of, putting out money and I not finishing or whatever. But I mean, it worked out fine. But
yeah.
that in return, I wanted my kids to go away to college. So they had that opportunity, to and meet other people of different cultures and that they were no longer a majority, but a minority.
And that to me is a good, strong, important part of education.
Hmm.
Learning to adapt and not
Yep.
have things your way all the
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because then you can mingle. I mean, otherwise
Hmm.
you're like I don't know, like a cultural hermit or something.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I look back and I kind of miss the fact that I didn't take more advantage of the cultural education. I
Oh,
feel like I'm very weak, speak hardly any Hawaiian, and
so
the actual history part.
what would you have done like besides taking Hawaiian language?
Mm, maybe a little bit of Hawaiian history. I mean, I hear stuff,
Mm.
but I don't have a timeline in my head of when stuff
Hmm. Hmm.
happened.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the nice thing is that all the royalty came in order, so you can kind of, Kamehameha the second, third, fourth, and then you're like, okay, well, then I can kind of keep track a little bit. But of course, at the same time, history of any kind was never something I looked forward to, so I
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
intentionally stayed away from it, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I did take Hawaiian language, and then when I went to UH, my first year was disastrous because it was just so hard. And I think I remember taking Hawaiian history, but I'm kind of like you too. I'm not really like deep into my culture, you know, but yeah, we can always learn.
Yeah, never
Yeah.
too late.
Never too late. Yeah, there's
Are
always
you
opportunity.
are you planning to participate at the reunion then?
Do I plan to what?
Participate at the reunion?
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
I went online on April 1st at whatever, 9 o'clock, trying to get on. So yeah, I will be there.
Okay. You're doing class night?
Yes,
You're doing the luau?
yes.
And what else?
Kupuna luncheon.
Okay. I don't know
That's
if I'm landing early enough for that, so I didn't sign up for it, but I thought, well, anything that I can make, I can always ask if there's openings and if I can get in or,
right, right, right. Because
that.
I think, is there a memorial for the classmates that passed like earlier in the week or like a Monday or Tuesday or something?
Not that I recall seeing, but
Okay. I thought I saw something. But we had the Huakai on in Hilo in February. That was kind of cool.
did you had that was
Well,
fun.
I
That
was
looked
there
like,
for a wedding. So I was there that weekend anyway. And so just
oh,
happened I was there. So I went to the Hilo one. We went to Cal campus. Oh, unreal. Blow your doors. Like super cool campus.
I've
A lot
heard.
of opportunities for the kids, lots. And then we had like a gathering at a Hilo Hawaiian. It was cool to see people. It was a small beginning for our reunion, but that was a good start.
Yeah. Well, I heard people have raved about the Maui one, and then obviously the Hilo one looked like it was a really good time too. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I guess they have something scheduled for August on
For
Kauai.
Kauai. Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to that.
Oh, right on. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
family on the different islands,
Just Big Island, mostly Big Island. So yeah,
like
just
aunties, uncles,
well,
cousins.
actually, it's my ex-husband's family. So I'm really
Oh,
close to his sister. So I usually stay with them when I go to the Big Island or Moku Okeawe. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
But
You know what's been kind of fun for me too is, I mean, from the outside looking in, people say, God, it's so time consuming. Yeah, but I'm having a blast because I'm finding out things about people that make me wish I had known them better in high school. You know,
when you had asked me to do this, I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then I listened to Rhonda's. Then I really had to think about what did I do 50, you know, 50 years ago? Like what was the sequence of order? And it made me realize that you know, I think that in life there's people who come in for a season, some people come in for a reason, and some people come in a lifetime. And so in my span of 50 years and even before that, I realized that different people have helped me along the way to become the person that I am. Whether it's Kamehameha, a lot of Kamehameha people, and not Kamehameha people, but it was like, oh man, I got to think about what happened after like 50 years ago, because it's like a long time ago, and our memory's not so good sometimes.
yeah, not
Yeah.
very good at all. So,
No, no. But I do see a lot of our classmates on a regular basis, like so Ca- so Kathy Thurston has a Kohine group of Christian women and we do some functions. But I see like Abby Phillips, Hano Hano, Karen Doan, Kalena, Wayamao, Corey, no Chalk, Nojima, Crystal Rose, Arlene
yeah.
Pratt. Yeah. So I mean, I do see those girls, but I mean, and I never really hung out with them when I was in school, it was like later on. And then I think the most endearing person that I miss is Pili Aloha Wang, Kernan. So we kind of met years ago at New Hope, and then we started playing racquetball at school, in the evening. And then we just started going church and, hanging out. But I really um feel like she was a very valuable person in my life.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
share something with you for a couple of seconds.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh,
One of my
yeah,
favorite pictures. I've had this
that
for
that
years and
is
just hung on to it. And
yeah, she was just a dynamic, no filter, the realest person, God-fearing woman that I like known
Marilyn's
over
good
the
friend
years.
Pili. We had breakfast with them when Brendan was small in Kaneohe.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. I mean, of course there's other classmates, but she really um brought life to a room.
very easily. And she had a sense of humor that was like,
Yeah,
oh, I
no
mean,
other.
your belly would hurt
Yeah.
listening to her for 20 minutes because you're laughing so much.
Oh,
So,
and she was just so witty, very smart, um, very matter of fact. In fact, one day after church years ago, we went different to the different Rosses all over the island, and we went Ross hunting. It was the funnest day ever.
wow.
But
Can't
she
say
was
I've
just
ever heard that one before,
that,
but
yeah, she was
first
just
time
that
for
kind of a
everything.
girl. Yeah, it was super fun. But anyway. But yeah, I mean, I value a lot of friendships throughout the years, I feel, and not necessarily people in our class. Like Blaine Geisen, he was very instrumental in helping me raise my kids. Because when I didn't have a husband, I would consult with him on different situations. Because we used to work out at the gym at Kamehameha in the morning.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of people I feel blessed to be, have known throughout the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you talked about trying to recreate your life's path and the timeline and when everything happened, as I ask people to do these with me, some people are going, "Oh, my life's so boring." And I said, if you were to sit down and kind of lay it out, I don't know how anybody can have an absolute boring life because you've done stuff just having families of any kind is a little adventure,
Yeah. And I
you
think
know.
you cannot compare yourself to other people because everybody has a story, right? You have a story, I have a story, everybody has a story, but people don't know your story. And so your story is just as valuable as anybody else's story. I don't have my,
Yeah.
doctorate, I don't have my PhD or anything like that, but you know what? I got one story too, just like anybody else you ask to share.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
it I just I cannot keep being reminded that it's just, you know, some of it's so darn fascinating to somebody on the outside.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you're doing it all the time,
Yeah.
like Kalani Ching, he was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm thinking in my mind, that's just got to be about the most fascinating thing to go do every morning for work that I can think of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But to him, it was like, oh, it kept me away from my family and this and that, and it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
wow. I mean,
Yeah.
where you got to have priorities, but still, man,
Yeah. So
um,
how many interviews have you done?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know,
Oh, lots.
but yeah. Um, okay, because you're not you don't use Facebook a lot.
Yeah, I'm not on it. Yeah.
Did I did I already send you the YouTube link that I'm transferring all the stuff over
No,
to?
no, no, you didn't,
Okay,
not yet.
I'll send that to you.
Okay.
I think I sent you just Rhonda's by itself, didn't I?
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's 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 not. I don't have nearly as many on the YouTube because of the time involved in
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
transferring and downloading.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
to
yeah,
sit
yeah,
there
yeah,
and
yeah.
watch it, and I don't have that kind of time. And then there's going to be a gap. Um, I arrived June 4th for the reunion, and I'm going to stay in the island till about the 20th.
Oh.
So I won't have anything really to do a good interview from till I
Mm-hmm.
get back to the mainland. So there'll be a gap, but time to let people rebuild some excitement and anticipation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like I learned from McDonald's. You let the McRib come out, you get everybody all excited, then you
And then you
pick
bring
them up.
something.
Yeah, you know. Then you bring them back again later on, and they're
Oh,
oh yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's pretty cool.
So
Yeah, I look forward to seeing your YouTube video because I don't, I don't see anything other than the one you sent me.
okay,
And then I get to know, like I learned a lot about Rhonda. I mean, we used to hang out, because we used to catch the bus together to sports and stuff. But I never really knew, like I knew a little bit about her after, but not like before. Like not all the relatives that she had at Kamehameha that attended Kamehameha, like her, yeah, cousin and all
yeah.
this other stuff. Yeah.
And
But
sometimes too, it just doesn't come up in conversation, or
no.
I was roommates with Kirk Paulson the entire eighth grade year as a boarder, and
Uh-huh.
I never realized. I just learned talking to him 50 years later that he was born on the mainland, moved to
Oh,
Haleiwa when he was 3 or 4 years old. So
oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, things pop up and
Yeah.
they come out in these, and it's kind of neat
Hmm.
because. And I mentioned it earlier, but I can't tell you how many people are watching and go, "Oh, I went there too." Jeff Noah has a lot of classmates that he knew from elementary outside Kamehameha who
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
ended
yeah,
up
yeah.
at Kamehameha later on, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't realize that at the time. So,
Uh-huh.
and then I
Yeah.
think Rhonda went to school with Kevin Garcia for a time in elementary. They didn't know each other
Really?
back then, yeah. But when Kevin was watching Rhonda, he went, "Oh, I
Well,
went there too."
hopefully somebody from Wahiwa went to school with me, but I don't remember who. I really don't remember anybody actually.
It's. I mean, I can't remember who I was in a vehicle with a week ago. So yeah, it's tough.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in person on June 4th.
Same here.
Yeah, so you're gonna spend time with family after that?
I don't. I just have first cousins left,
Uh-huh.
so I might drop in on a few, but it's
Hmm.
not like if I had aunties and uncles or parents or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that.
And where are you staying at?
Um, I've learned to be a very good gypsy, so I I got my time locked in at the dorms,
Yeah.
but I found out after the fact that the gate's going to close at 10 p.m.
Yep.
And I don't know if I want my evenings to stop
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
early. So, um, I mean, I'll curl up in a corner or find a sofa. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
problems with that at
Yeah.
any point in my life
Uh-huh.
ever. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my wife and I created a saying. We call it being kite. Like they say, what do you want to go do tomorrow? Oh, let's just go be kites. If the wind's blowing east, you go east. If you wake
I
up and
love
the
it.
wind's blowing west, you end
Yeah.
up going west.
Like the bamboo, yeah, be flexible.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That way you don't go like, oh, we never make our plan work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Then
yeah.
you don't have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
plan, then it all works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I'm glad you're able to stay longer. So you have grandkids?
Yeah, I'm 9.
Oh, and they all live in the same state as you?
No, there's like 3 that are not, but it's one of the reasons I ended up here trying to get close to the largest number that I could be near.
That's so awesome because man, they grew up fast, yeah.
And I have 2 great grands.
Oh, how old are they?
Uh, 2, and the first one was a girl. She's about 2. Second one was just born this past April 15th, so he's a tax
Oh,
baby.
congratulations.
He gets to be
That's
the
so
write-up, I guess.
cool. Wow. So they all live near you.
Uh, Relatively. Those 2 are about 5 hours north of me.
Mm-hmm.
Some are 3 of them are in the same town. 4 are about 2.5 hours north.
And
But I've learned living on the mainland that it's all relative. I used to remember
yes.
when, oh, North Shore, man, I don't like
Yeah.
going North Shore. It's like 45 minutes away.
Right? I know. Like, oh, why well so far, but yeah, you're right. Everything's relative. Or they have no problem driving 6 hours to whatever, to a baseball game or whatever. I'll be like, "Bleh, not me, man. 3 hours I can handle, but I don't know about six or longer than that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and Grayling does it all the time. He
Oh,
lives in
really?
Washington D.C. and he has grandkids in Utah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, gas up the car, pack up the bag, zoom. you know?
Well, at least they can do that though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah.
cool, cool. I'm excited, man. Thank you for taking the time to
Oh,
share your story. I loved
thank
it.
you for asking me.
I'm glad that because we had a little bit of hesitancy at first, not
Yeah.
sure if we wanted to move forward, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. I was able to reflect over the, last, 50 years about my kids and where I came from and what I did and blah, blah. But it was actually worth the thinking and the time spent about where I came from. But thank you so much.
okay, audience, listen to what she just said. It's good fun and worth the effort. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah, Terry,
thanks.
aloha.
Okay,
Take care.
aloha. Okay, you too. Bye.